Right, now we're entering the final part that we need to construct in our house, and that is the patio area. The patio area is going to be a decking raised up on posts which are supported in the ground on round foundations. It'll also have some stairs to come up from the ground level, and also this railing and fencing around it so people can't fall off. You'll notice that our main house is on fairly flat ground, and then the ground drops away here, and so up at this end the decking will nearly be on ground level. Down here we've got half a metre or so there that we're above the ground, so we're looking at creating something like that, which you can use later on when you do your final designs. You might be able to incorporate something like that into your design. Okay, let's go over to our original drawing. Oops. And first thing we're going to do is to put in our floor. Come into our ground floor plan. I'm going to zoom in on the area of the house that we're going to put it into. And you'll need to have your drawings out from the original or the finished house so that you can get your measurements off of there. And the decking itself is exactly like putting in a floor. So I'm coming over to floor, selecting floor, pull down, and should be one there called decking wood finish. Just make sure your level is ground floor and there's no offset. You notice we have the modified and create floor boundary as usual. Come in, select line, and working off your drawing, I'm going to start from this corner here, and I'm going to just type in these measurements. So we've got 3500 and enter. We're coming across 4800. We're going up 1.1. I can probably do that just by using the numbers, and we're coming across till we line up with the end of that, and you can see that dashed line, so that's 200. That's correct. Down again, and don't forget you have to finish it off, so we've got to come across the back of the house there to finish it off. Escape a couple of times. If that's looking good for you, give it a tick. We'll just have a quick look at that in 3D to see what it's looking like. We'll just spin that around. And you can see we've got our decking sitting out there in the middle of nowhere really at the moment, but it is level with the floor inside, so that's what we're after. Okay, we'll come back into now the footings plan, and at the moment we can't see anything in there because we're below that decking. But what we want to do is to set up for our timber posts and also for our round concrete foundations around those posts. And the way that we would do that is to make up a grid, because columns actually will latch onto a grid, and it makes it a lot easier to lay things out once you've got it set up. So in your architect ribbon, come along to grid, and we've put our first grid in, and we've got to work from one point somewhere, so we'll start from this point here, and we'll actually have to move this first grid line once we get it in place. So I'm just going to left click on there, come across, you can see we get a little number 1 there, and then I'm going to hit escape twice, select it again, move. Now I can select a point to move from, and I want to make that 150 up, and enter, and now we've got that 150 up. Hit escape a couple of times, select it again and right click on it and create similar. Now our next one up from there is, from to 150. So I'm just going to type that in, to 150, and enter, and then drag that one across, and you'll see how it lines up with the number 1 there. Now the next one after that is 150. So we'll select that, create similar, come up here, 150, and enter. Drag that across. Now these intersect, but don't worry about that. Just line them up. And we've got one more, which is going to be create similar. And this one's going to be 100. And bring that across as well, so it lines up. Hit escape a couple of times. Now we've got 4 going this way. We now need to put in 1, 2, 3, 4 going across this way as well. And we'll start the same thing again. We'll go back into architecture, select grid. I'm going to start from this corner again, just here, and come up. Hit escape a couple of times. Create similar. Sorry, we need to first move that one over 150. Forgot about that. So we'll just come over, come from the corner, and put in 150 and enter. Now we can create similar. Hit escape a couple of times, select it, create similar, come across, and our first one is going to be 350 and enter. Again, drag that up till it lines up. Our next one, escape a couple of times, select it, create similar. Our next one is going to be 1400, so we'll select it again, create similar, drag across 1400, up, and we've got one more to put in, which is going to be 1950 from this one here, so escape a couple of times, select it, create similar, and we should be looking at 1950, enter, and up again to there. Okay, so we've got all our grids in, hit escape a couple of times. Now you notice they're all numbers. We don't normally have them all numbers. We usually have one side being letters and one side being numbers, so that you can say grid point A4, just sort of like playing battleships when you're pointing something out to someone you might be talking on the phone or something like that. So we'll change all these. There's a couple of ways you can change them. If you click on it and highlight it, you see you can come into this box here, and we're going to make these letters. Or you can just double click on that box and it will come up as well. So there's a couple of different ways that you can change that around. I'm just going to double click on them, just as easy as any. Okay, and we have our grid for our foundations in place. So we can start to put those in now. We're going to do this in 2 parts, so I think I might wait to the next video to start showing you how to put the columns and the posts in. Get up to this stage and then go on to your next video to see how we actually use these to line up our columns and posts.